Hi, I'm Kelly,
I'm Allison.
I'm Leah. And I'm Kristen.
and this is Fear and Wine. Hi, welcome to Fear and Wine. Today's episode is a little bit different. We decided to take a little detour from the norm of covering horror films and TV shows, and we wanted to do a Mother's Day special tribute for our moms. So we each interviewed our moms and talked to them about their history with horror and kind of get to know us and them a little better. We will be back next week to our normal format where we will be covering Lovecraft Country. I wanted to go ahead and apologize now for any background noise you hear. We do all have pets, and in doing these interviews with our moms, our environment wasn't as controlled as it normally is, so you might hear a little something. But we did have a lot of fun recording these interviews with our moms, so we hope you enjoy it too. Thanks. So Allison and I are here with our mom today for our special Mother's Day episode, and our mom is Miriam. Say hello.
Hello.
Oh, you say hello just like Allison. You guys sound just alike.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to be interviewing her today about her love of horror films, since she is the one who kind of started my love of horror films. We're not really sure what happened to Allison. Maybe, actually, our dad doesn't really like horror, so maybe that's where she gets it from. So we'll ask her a few questions today. So real quick, Mom, about your history with horror films. Give us a background of that story. Why did you get into them? What was the first one you saw that had an impact on you, and why do you like them?
Oh, you've asked a lot of questions. I got into horror movies because of how I was raised. I am the middle child of seven, and we had one TV, and my siblings, like the older siblings, like watching horror films, and so that's what I had to watch. So I got used to it. But it wasn't the horror films that you guys are watching today. It was like the Wolfman. What else do we have? Vampires and
Like the old Dracula movie and stuff?
Dracula. Yeah, that type. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, The Invisible Man.
Okay, so not a lot of blood and guts and
Not a lot of blood and
Like
guts.
suspense?
It was suspenseful. It was scary if they
Mhm.
snuck up on you real fast and you didn't know what was coming.
So you had the jump scare. So did they have any like slasher films really, or they were more like monster movies type of like what you're describing?
More like lab type scientists, mad scientists.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, nothing really bloody and gory, I guess, until um, Godzilla came along.
Oh, I love Godzilla. So what was your first horror film that you saw? Do you remember specifically what that first one was?
No, I don't remember what the first one was. No, because
Okay.
that's all we did was watch horror films. And not only did we watch them on TV, we had cousins. Whenever we would, in the summers especially, when we would go outside, everybody wanted to tell scary stories, ghost stories, and scare each other, and pretend that we were the monsters or whatever. But it was like there was no fear. I didn't have a
Okay.
fear of scary movies because that's what I knew.
It was more fun to you. It didn't scare you or give you like bad dreams or anything.
I never got bad dreams from it. And
Okay.
because it was so normal for us to watch that kind of stuff.
How old were you when you saw the first one, or when you were doing that, or how young, I
Well,
guess?
I was younger than 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't remember the first movie that you saw or horror film that you saw, but do you remember which one had a significant impact on you that made you a fan of the genre? Was there one that stood out?
Nothing stood out because, like I said, I had to watch all of them.
Okay.
And I didn't have a favorite.
No?
No, I really
Really?
didn't. And I think Frankenstein may have been my favorite character.
Okay.
And because we had Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein does this, Frankenstein. It was that was the big name was Frankenstein.
Okay, so that was a big
And
one
then
when
of
you were a kid.
course later on they put Dark Shadows. It was a
I remember Dark
soap
Shadows.
opera. No, you don't remember Dark
Well, I
Shadows.
don't remember when
You
it was
don't
on
remember.
live, but I have seen Dark Shadows.
Okay, so it was one of those things I got into Dark Shadows and it was it was supposed to be a scary soap opera, and it was one of
Hmm.
those things. I would come home from school every day. Couldn't wait to get home from school so I could watch Barnabas Collins. It was a good soap opera, but it was supposed to be scary, suspenseful.
I don't know Dark Shadows.
No, you don't.
I only know it because when I worked in LA, we did like a remaster of it. So we worked on some
Oh.
new version of it where they took the old ones and remastered them. So that's how I do know the show.
Oh, okay.
So I know I'm going to ask you this, but Allison and I know the answer to this. What is your current favorite horror film?
Currently,
Like, so not one from your childhood, but of all time, of all the ones you've seen when you were little up to now.
I got into the Nightmare on Elm Street,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
the whole series, all of them. They did it to death, but I loved them. I watched them all more than once.
Which one was your favorite?
Probably the first one because
Yeah.
after the first one, they got more ridiculous and more ridiculous. That's one reason I'm not afraid of horror films, because to me, some of the stuff is so ridiculous. There's no way I could believe it and go to sleep and dream about it, because it's like, yeah, it just
That's
wasn't
where we
scary.
differ.
Yeah, and I feel like especially Nightmare on Elm Street, that's all about bad dreams. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's the one you
But it
would dream
wasn't my
about.
bad dream.
But they could have been.
It's
But
all
they
about
could have
somebody
been.
else's bad dream. So I'm outside looking in. It's like, really? It was really.
I don't know. It wasn't Johnny Depp's bad dream either until he was introduced to Freddy.
I didn't see it. So
He was in the first one.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, they weren't scary. I actually found a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street. I found a lot of it funny. I mean, it was so ridiculous you had to laugh. It's like, really?
What is wrong with you?
What was wrong?
I,
No, it is.
I remember this again when I was working in California that she called me one day, Kelly, guess who is in a movie together? And I could not figure it out because I was like, she likes Denzel. It's got to be Denzel and somebody. So I did all these guesses and I was like, okay, I'm at work. So just tell me. Freddie and Jason Kelly. They're both in a movie together. So when Freddie versus Jason came out, she was so excited.
That was your jam.
Well, it was, again, really? But anyway.
Okay. A few more questions. So what
Mhm.
horror subgenre well, you said they don't scare you, but which horror subgenre do you find, I guess, the most frightening, even if it doesn't personally scare you, like even if it's jump scares or something? And so examples of that would be a monster, slasher, home invasion, paranormal, aliens, etc. Is there any specific category that you find the scariest?
Probably home invasion or paranormal. But you know what? I think the first really scary movie that scared me was what's the name of the one where the girl twisted her head around?
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
Hmm.
Because that to me seemed more real. It wasn't as ridiculous as I thought all the other stuff was. It just,
Hmm.
for me, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's real.
See, that's
And
like
that one,
Allison.
that one was
Exactly.
scary to me.
Yeah, so that's possession. I
Not,
would categorize that as possession films.
yeah, not to the point where I dreamed about it,
Hmm.
but I think
You couldn't sleep. That's probably why.
maybe
Or you thought about it too
I
much.
thought about it a lot
Hmm.
because I
It could
felt
happen.
like that could really happen.
It really could.
And that's
It-
what Allison says. When we asked this question on our show, to me, that was the least scary because I don't think it could happen. But for Allison, it was the most scary because it could happen.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting.
Although I think all of them could happen. But,
That's true. Well, home invasion, which is my scariest, literally does happen a lot.
Right.
So,
No. But I don't know. It's just something about it that's just not as scary as like
I guess.
possession.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Mom.
No, I was just saying I believe that some strange entity could get into your body, into your psyche,
Hmm.
and make you behave certain ways. I mean, look at the world today. I'm not going to go into any name calling, but
Not on this
I think
podcast. I've already done enough. You can't do it anymore.
I just think something's wrong with some of these people out there, and I think they have been taken over by maybe aliens.
I do believe in aliens now. That for sure I
No.
believe
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Speaking of that, that leads to our next question. Do you believe in any of the supernatural elements found in horror films? So do you believe in ghosts or, like we just said, curses and demons, and possession? You said you do believe in that. Do you believe
Yeah.
in
I believe
ghosts?
in demons. I do.
Okay.
Hmm.
You believe in aliens. What about ghosts or spirits?
I definitely believe in spirits.
Not so much ghosts, or you're on the fence?
Not so much ghost.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was little, we had a cartoon called Casper the Friendly Ghost.
I know Casper.
And
Yeah, I
Casper
know
was
Casper.
always so nice and kind.
What?
I'm like, how can he be bad? And he had all of his uncles and cousins and all the men around him. He was the only child.
Mm-hmm.
And they just seemed, they were always trying to scare somebody. Nobody was afraid of them. So that just kind of made me think, yeah, ghosts. What are they?
Interesting, because Allison, you don't know this. When I asked her this question at first, she doesn't believe in ghosts, but I said, would you knowingly spend the night in a haunted hotel? And she said, well, no. I said, but if you don't believe in ghosts, what would be?
Because of spirits. Why I need to know this. Why is the hotel haunted? Why is it said that that hotel is haunted? What has happened to make someone think that it's haunted? I would need a background on that because I
Okay.
do believe in spirits. And if you said to me, well, it's haunted by someone who died there,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, I'd have to rethink staying there
Okay.
because
So,
I believe that when somebody dies, their spirit can come back.
so
Okay.
what's your difference between spirits and ghosts?
Who you asking, mom or me?
Yeah,
I,
Mom,
I
sorry.
actually had a conversation with Kelly and I told her spirits and ghosts was no different, but she said they were. So
For
What's
me.
yours, Kelly?
For me, a ghost is someone who has died and for whatever reason refuses to cross over, either out of fear, frustration, anger. They want to stay here. So they haven't died and moved on. They're stuck in this in-between place. And so that's usually what I believe like cause hauntings. Whereas a spirit has died, but they can come back and visit you. They've gone to the other side, they've seen everything's okay, and now they're usually friendlier and they're the ones that like
Okay.
if you get a visit from a relative, to me that's what I call a spirit because they can come back and forth.
so you're saying that there's no bad spirits. Spirits are all good and friendly and they're here for to be nice to you.
For in my definition of spirits, yes, I believe ghosts would be the ones that would most likely be the ones with the anger and frustration or do something bad. But each person has their own definition. That's just how those two separate out for me.
Yeah, but I can't separate the two, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I never had one, a definition.
But I
for
have
them,
had
so.
an experience with a spirit. I will not say
Mhm.
that I've had an experience with ghosts, but I have experienced spirits.
Okay.
So can you know how some people can see ghosts? Can they see spirits?
Yes, I've seen both. I've had experiences with both.
And see,
I know you have. Child.
I always thought that ghosts were invisible or see-throughs, like Casper. You could see through it.
But you can still see something.
Yeah, you could see something.
It depends. I mean, I've never seen one see through. I've seen them. To me, they appear very much solid. It's just only reason I've figured out that it was a ghost is nobody else saw it or could see what I was looking at.
Like it's in like the Invisible Man.
Yeah, but not invisible to me. To me, they're as solid and as human looking as you are sitting in front of me. But nobody else is seeing them.
Then I don't think anybody else. If I'm visited by a spirit, I don't think anybody else would have that experience either.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I can't separate the two.
Good discussion, guys.
Okay.
Good discussion.
Okay. Okay. So, what is your irrational fears? Is or are plural?
Well, you know,
Get out.
no, she said fear.
No, I know.
I know, but you Allison's talking about the movie Get Out because you do have some irrational fear that could happen.
That's true. Get out can really happen. As a matter of fact, I think it has.
Well, let's not get into that debate because that one went on forever. Last time we had the Get Out debate.
Anyway, I'm definitely afraid of lizards. I do
Yes.
not like lizards. I don't like geckos. I don't like anything that could crawl that fast and look like a baby dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
Nope, not a baby dinosaur. Okay. I feel like most of yours are small animal based, are probably most of your irrational fears.
Yeah, stuff that can move quicker than me. No, 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 no.
Mm. And that's it. It's just those only things. There's no like fear of something happening or anything else. Because I mean, what you've picked is a real thing. It's irrational because those things can't kill you or harm you. But a lot of people are creeped out by stuff like that. But there's nothing like how one of my irrational fears is being buried alive. You don't have anything like weird like that?
I don't think about stuff like that.
Okay. That's good. See, it seems like you're very, you know, solid and realistic.
Hmm.
Very interesting. Allison, you have any other questions on that one?
Now I'm trying to remember what mine was.
I'm trying to remember what yours was.
Everything, honestly. So it could be really anything.
And I know we're all afraid of snakes, but they're not.
Yes.
That's normal. I think everybody is.
Yeah, I don't think snakes is that irrational. There are several of them that can kill you. Yeah.
I think a lizard could kill me too.
I don't think
Yeah,
it
I
could.
don't know.
If he ran in the right spot and I tried to avoid him and fell over
Oh,
and
Okay.
bumped my head or something.
I don't know that the lizard is directly causing the killing, though.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's causing me to behave that way. Yes.
Oh, okay. On the heels of me just saying she's emotionally mature, she's now blaming a lizard for her
Lizard, yeah.
death. Okay, who is the most relatable character to you in any TV or movie? And it doesn't have to be horror genre, just anything.
You know, Olivia Pope is my girl.
I knew it. She's been calling herself Olivia Pope for years.
I know, because that was such a good series. I hate when it went off, but I loved it.
Hmm.
And I could identify with her. She was like me.
Who is she?
Yeah. Always handling stuff.
Hmm.
You know I'm the handler. Everybody comes to me, handle this.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
could see that.
Which reminds me, I had a call yesterday. I'll talk to y'all about
I was
that.
gonna say, well, don't put it
Later.
on.
Don't put that. Yeah, don't put that out there.
Personal stuff about to come out.
It is, but we'll talk later.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need the family gossip on this. Speaking of Olivia Pope, have you guys watched the new Shondaland show on Netflix yet? The Residents. It was cute.
No, I want to though. It's good.
I watched it. Yeah, it was cute. I watched it the other day.
Is it a series?
Yeah, it's just one season. So far, but.
It's the one
Yeah.
with Ubo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not
I'll
gonna say
have
it
to
last.
watch that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it
I'll
wrong.
binge it.
It's. I think I don't remember how many. Maybe it was 10 episodes. I can't remember. But it's also White House based. You might like it. Okay, if you could have any superpower, which one would you want? And you can pick multiple.
I would be able to fly, and I could hear everything.
You want to hear everything?
Why?
Why?
What's your reasoning?
Just to
Be nosy.
get a handle on it. Yeah.
No, because she thinks everybody's already talking about her anyway.
She does.
It's not about me. It's not about somebody talking about me. I just like to know what's on people's minds.
Really? That's the last thing I want to know.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like it's none of my business. Like if it's in your innermost thoughts or it's secret and it's not meant for me to hear, I shouldn't hear it because it might hurt my feelings.
Do you want to hear people's inside thoughts, or just when they're talking, being ever
Like
if,
whispering
if
or
side conversations are going on 3 miles away? You want to be able to hear that, or do you want to hear what's in their
I want
mind?
to know what they're putting out there.
Right, but what if
Okay.
they don't put out what's in their mind?
Then I don't need to know.
Okay, so she doesn't want to read minds.
Mm-mm.
yeah, but I don't even if they're talking about me 3 miles away and it might be hurtful. I don't want to know.
That's true.
Listen, I have a thick skin,
Well,
and
I
if you're
don't.
talking about me, it's just gonna blow over unless you're being really nasty. Then I can attack you.
First of all, I don't think it would blow over. I'm not sure if you've met you, but I also, if that's the case, then why? Why would you even want to know? You just want to know so you could side eye them from there on out?
Probably, I like to know where I stand with people.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
But
fair.
you know, I am not that forgiving of a person.
Right. That's why I said, why did you say it would blow over?
Huh?
That's why I said,
But
why would you say it would blow over? You and Allison do not forgive easily.
And won't.
then I need to know how to move when I'm around you.
Okay.
Because I don't like just anybody in my space.
Mm-hmm.
You have to earn my space.
Well, that's true. That is very true.
Anyway.
Which fictional movie or TV show world would you most like to live in? Again, does not have to be horror.
You know what? I could have lived with the X-Men people.
Oh, that's a good one.
I could have been in that castle with all those children.
What would be your not pat? What is it
I
called?
want my specialty.
Yeah.
Well, she just said flying
I would,
Oh,
I
okay,
would
yeah.
be able to fly.
and hear people gossip.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take back that hearing because I think I would love to disappear. And then
That's the one I want.
disappeared, I could hear. So that would be like a dual thing.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
You
That's
can't
what I'm talking
see
about. Yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there and I see how you're moving.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Be invisible and fly. That would be ideal.
Yeah, that's invisibility would always be my first choice.
Hmm.
Those are the questions I had, Allison. Did you have any other ones?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, let's ask Mom this one. Okay, so we're trying to get Allison to watch more horror films. Mom, which ones? I think she's finally watched Jaws. She says she don't ever need to see that again.
Jaws is not a horror film.
It actually is considered horror. But like,
It wasn't because it was scary that I didn't watch it. It looked corny. I didn't have the time for
It wasn't corny,
right? It wasn't corny.
but it wasn't to be. I didn't think it was to be a horror film. I just thought it was like, you're in the water all the time. That means that fish.
You thought it was a documentary?
Flipper.
Well, I tried not to be in the water.
Flipper
all the
is in the
time.
water. Jaws, yeah.
Wait,
Come on.
Flipper or Jaws? Because Flipper, there was a nice little dolphin.
Those are very different movies, and they were marketed very differently. You cannot compare Jaws to Flipper and act like they're the same category of films.
I'm just talking about
Now, had you said Jaws was like Flipper, I probably would watch it a long time ago.
creatures that live in the water. I just didn't think that was a scary film. It was suspenseful because of how they did it, the surprise attack, da-da, da-da, that kind of thing. You knew when he was on his way because of the music, but
You're right.
I just wouldn't put it in a horror film category.
I don't think I like water movies. I think that might be what it is.
That's true. You don't like open water either, but
Water
yeah.
makes my stomach hurt.
Well, I asked that because what are some classics that we should try to get Allison to watch?
Well, I was just going to say she should go back to the beginning.
Who's the beginning?
The
Frankenstein?
horror films from my day, like
Girl, she's not gonna watch any Frankenstein.
and the Draculas, because you need to get into what the ridiculousness of it, and then you won't be afraid. But you came in when stuff could really happen. I know nobody could put
A body together.
body
You say that,
on
but
on a table and put little dingies in his skull, and then
Wait a
he come
second.
out walking like a robot. And
Stop. Stop. Because Get Out is feasible.
right.
But but what you're describing, which is very damn close to Get Out.
No. We didn't see how Get Out manifested.
Yes, we
didn't see
did.
how they made it happen.
Yes, we did.
Watch them cut open the people.
In the basement when her father took the people in the basement and cut their heads open. We actually did see
We
that.
watched it and replaced their brains.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay, but I guess maybe that's why that bothered me. Get Out what bothered me.
Okay.
Did it bother you because it like pissed you off, or did it bother you
bothered
because
me
it was
because
scary?
I thought that could truly happen.
All right, I'm at a loss on that one, but okay.
But when they were creating Frankenstein, the way they did it, you didn't see anybody's head come open and blood and guts and stuff. It was just like it happened. Somebody was in a lab, and when they finished, he had little nodules on his neck where they had screwed in a cork, and he had stitches on his head, which meant that they had cut his head open, but you didn't see it happen.
Right, they kind of Harry Pottered it, so therefore it wasn't as bothersome.
That's all I'm saying. There's a difference.
Okay.
But Get Out, I just felt like that could really happen.
What's
Fair
your
enough.
favorite Jordan Peele movie? You've seen them all, I think, hadn't you?
I think so. You got Us,
I
Get
didn't see
Out.
Us.
You didn't see us.
You didn't see Us.
That terrified me too much.
Really?
Because that could
Now, Allison, y'all are ridiculous with what could really. I cannot with what could really happen.
I just haven't watched that one.
Okay, well, watch it and you tell me if that also could really happen.
Is that a series or just a movie?
No.
No, you're thinking of Them, the series we've been trying to get you to watch, but it's just a movie. Us.
I started watching them. I just haven't finished.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
then I'll watch Us.
Us is the one where you have like a clone of yourself out there. You don't remember seeing that one?
No, but
with
if that
Lupita.
is about that, I had the invasion
No,
of the
that's not what
Body
it's about.
Snatchers.
That's not what it's about. But I'm just saying, I was trying to see if that triggered anything to see if you remember that.
I know I haven't
Okay.
watched it. I know.
What about? We apologize for the dog in the background growling. What about? Wait, what were you saying about Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's another movie I watched as a child, as a younger person.
Mm-hmm.
Which that to me was also ridiculous. People growing. It was like aliens, but they were growing like pea pods.
Oh yeah, I do remember that one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
didn't look anything at it.
And their clones were growing in the pods.
Okay.
It was totally ridiculous. But
I
they
wonder.
redid it too. You know, that's a remake.
Yeah, I think I've seen the remake.
And I refused to watch the remake because I had watched the one from back in the what was that, the 60s or 70s.
Don't tell your
I'm not telling my age, but everybody knows if I watch Frankenstein, I gotta be a certain age.
Okay. All right, so Allison needs to go back in the day and watch. I don't know if we're going to get her to do that.
I won't.
She won't, but
I barely
But they
watched
were
today.
not. They were not scary. And if you watch it with me, I'll talk you through
But were
it.
they exciting?
mm,
Right. I need to also be entertaining.
They were entertaining.
Were they?
They were.
Mm.
Uh-huh. They were.
maybe start with Young Frankenstein. That was a fun movie. Mom, have you seen any of the Paranormal Activities movies?
No,
You might like those. They're pretty creepy to most people.
really.
I won't.
Every-
watch them.
Yeah. I like them, but I mean, to me, the first one, the one that everybody was like all scared about it, I wasn't really bothered by it. It's all spirits or ghosts, whatever you choose to call it, or possibly demons. I guess if you keep watching the series, more unfolds. But those are good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you might have learned some stuff that you need to watch. But thank you for joining us.
I'm sure there's a lot that I need to watch.
Yeah.
And just, timing.
Well, you know, you
Live
can.
with somebody who won't sit down and watch stuff like that with me.
No.
I think part of the beauty of watching a scary movie is not watching it by yourself, having somebody not that will take your focus off of it and ask you stupid questions, but just being around somebody who, like, if something like was jarring or something like got you,
Mm-hmm.
you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you, me, and Allison need to watch a couple scary movies one night.
Did you see Megan?
Allison,
Well,
she's not gonna watch Megan.
Wait, who is Megan?
The doll.
The one about the doll,
The AI doll.
not Chucky, but
I was just gonna say, is that like
Child's Play.
I kind of won't watch Child's Play either. I know it's not scary, but it
Mhm.
kind of is to me.
well, first of all, you don't need to watch them by yourself.
Oh, I wouldn't. I would never.
Okay.
I made the mistake of watching them season 2 by myself, and it was 2 months before I could sleep with the lights off. So I wouldn't do that again.
Well, we'll watch some with you.
So I need to watch Us and Them.
Mm-hmm. Well, Them is a TV show, Us is a movie, so maybe just start with Us because you can get through that one faster.
Mhm.
And that one's Jordan Peele.
Them is the one with the lady out in the middle of the farm
Yes.
all by herself.
Mhm.
That was moving too slowly. For me.
No, it wasn't. You only got through what part of the first episode?
Right.
Because that's.
I watched
Because-
the first episode and started in on the second one.
No, because she's only in on the farm for about 5 minutes.
Right.
Of the
so I
whole
don't think you made it
series.
through the whole first episode.
It takes place in Compton, California.
I don't know, but I didn't finish it because it wasn't taking me anywhere.
Like the end of the first episode ends kind of creepy, and you didn't. You didn't.
See, maybe I fell asleep.
I know you did.
Game of
I know
Thrones, you know you do.
If
I
it
know.
was boring, I fell asleep.
But it wasn't. That's the thing.
Well,
I do think it would piss you off, though, the show.
Yeah, you won't fall asleep if you get enough episodes in. You'll be watching it intently. But yeah, she also did do this. And watching Game of Thrones, she couldn't get that through that first episode because she thought it was moving too fast. Despite the
too
fact that
slowly.
too slowly. Despite the fact that the first scene I think has a decapitation in it. But
Okay, I'm just going to say this because everybody knows
Everybody knows.
I go to sleep easily when I'm watching TV these days.
that's true.
So I don't know, but it's got to be going somewhere to make me slap my face and stay awake.
Well, Them does go somewhere, so I think you should sit through a whole first episode.
Yeah.
Or listen to our podcast.
That's true. You could just listen to us.
I need to watch it for myself.
Oh.
Okay. Well, maybe we can check back in with you after you've seen some stuff.
We should have you come on for reviews of everything we've already reviewed, and then you can give us out of 5 stars.
I think I got to say this about This is Them, right?
Okay. Yeah.
For some reason, when I was watching it, I got a feeling that it was going to turn into like Beloved, where the kids got killed. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I don't know.
Well,
It
I would go with that feeling,
Okay.
but not quite that far.
But not for the same reasons.
No, not for the same reasons, but there's a disturbing kid situation. Not all the kids get harmed, but one does, and it's very bad.
Okay. Don't tell
But
me.
it's not
I won't tell
the
you.
Don't tell
entire
me
show,
anymore.
if that makes sense.
Yes, it's one episode.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody got anything else before we close it out? I think we're good, unless anybody has
No.
anything to add. All right. Well, thank you, Mom, so much for coming on our show.
Well,
And-
thanks for asking me. Get me some better headsets.
We're
Okay.
not
Well,
even using headphones right now.
right. You're not even-
I'll be your guest again.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
make sure we have you all situated before
for next time.
next time.
Yes.
Maybe I'll do Father's Day.
Maybe you
do
can,
I
because
have-
we not.
I
Yeah, I
have
don't know
a
that we
lot
watch
to
as
say
anything.
about Father's Day.
Well, we're not, but it's a horror podcast, so we're not going to be talking about dads.
Not dads.
We're not talking about moms right now either. We're just talking about to you.
Oh.
We weren't going to do a Father's Day episode because Dad doesn't watch scary
And that's my
movies.
point. I could really let you know why he doesn't watch scary movies.
Well, hey, in honor of Mother's Day, who's your favorite television mother?
Oh yeah,
Probably Claire Huxtable.
that's the only right answer, really.
That's the only right answer.
Yeah, that's the right answer. She's the best mom on TV.
I don't have an answer, so that's
You
that's a good answer.
I didn't understand that.
You didn't understand what?
That's the only answer.
I'm agreeing with you. That is the correct answer. It's the only one. I don't know what that was that tricky. There's a lot of editing I'm gonna have to do around this, but
I know, because Minnie and Poppy have been really.
it is not Minnie and Poppy. Oh Lord.
Or just leave it in and let everybody hear it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I might as well leave it in. Okay, Mom. Thank you again for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have you back sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again because I'm gonna watch. We didn't talk about Minecraft, Richcraft. What was that? Lovecraft.
Oh well, we haven't covered that. So your episode, the one that we're doing now, is going to come out the Tuesday after Mother's Day, and then the following week we start Lovecraft Country. So you can talk about it a little bit. Actually, just don't give too much away, but we can talk about it a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, okay.
You know she don't know how to talk about something and not give it away.
Yeah, that's true.
You're gonna tell every
I didn't know
scene.
you were focusing on certain areas of horror. I just thought all movies were open game.
They are for us to cover, but we can only do them one at a time. Oh, on this episode, yeah, you can absolutely. If it was one of your answers or you wanted to talk about it, yeah, you can talk about it. I just didn't want you to go through this happens and just don't lay out the plot because we're gonna do that
Mm-hmm.
in an upcoming episode.
I'll just leave it for you guys.
You can be a surprise guest on it. What was your favorite episode?
Yeah, what was your favorite episode? We could have you on for that.
Oh,
That's
You
hard.
think about it.
yeah.
Okay.
Get you some time.
I'll have to go back and watch it.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys again next time. Thanks for joining, Mom. Bye.
You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Leah. I'm here with my mom, Susan.
Hi.
We're going to talk about some stuff since Mother's Day is coming up. She came over, brought me some awesome brownies that are all decorated with flowers and some flowers. Even though I'm not your mom, you're my mom. Should be the other way around. But anyway, so we're going to just discuss some fun little horror-related things. And I guess we'll start with your history with horror films, why you like them or don't like them. How do you feel particularly about horror films in general?
I don't like them,
So
honestly.
I got that from you, huh?
Exactly.
Okay. And here I thought you were a fan all these years.
No.
Why not? Why don't you like them?
I don't know why you thought that.
I guess you always took such joy in me being scared of things that I guess I thought that was, I don't know, I thought you were into it.
No. I was not. No, I didn't get joy out of you being scared.
So let's see, can you remember what the first horror movie that you saw was?
Yes, I was probably 10, 11, and went to my friend's house, and her parents took us to the drive-in, and we saw The Godfather.
Okay.
And it was terrifying because all I remember is that bloody horse's head in the bed. And we went back to their house, and I could not sleep all night.
Oh my gosh.
I never went back there again.
I don't think that I've ever seen The Godfather, but I know the part you're referring to.
Yeah.
With the bloody horse head.
Yeah.
And why would they take children to see that movie?
That's what I would like to know.
I don't think that they should have allowed kids in there at all.
It was a drive-in.
Yeah.
It wasn't a theater. It was a drive-in.
The drive-in's fun. I have
It's
a lot of
very
fond
fun.
memories of the drive-in.
Oh yeah, me too.
Do you remember when I was in high school and you took a bunch of my friends and I to see House on Haunted Hill at the drive-in?
I don't remember that.
Really?
I did. I took you.
Yeah, you and Eddie took me and some of my friends, and then
House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, House on Haunted Hill.
Oh wow.
We were probably 16, maybe. I don't know.
That's a good memory.
Yeah, it was fun. I love the drive-in.
Oh, we always went to the drive-in growing up.
Yeah, I'm glad we still have one around.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, okay, well, aside from The Godfather, what is another horror movie that you remember from when you were younger that had a lasting impact on you for whatever reason?
That's easy. Halloween. I was
one
in
of the OGs.
movie theater with my feet up in the seat in front of me the whole time, petrified. The music was absolutely terrifying.
The music is still terrifying.
Yeah.
How old were you? Do you remember?
I think I was I must have been in high school, so probably about 15. And I slept with the light on for months.
Okay.
After that.
We're so much more alike than I thought. I'm pretty sure I watched Anaconda in the theater with my feet up on the seat too.
Yeah.
But didn't you tell me, I feel like I remember you telling me a story about after you saw Halloween, you babysat after that or something, and it freaked you out. Was there one particular story, or it was just in general you were scared?
Oh, no. It was one particular event. Me and my girlfriend were babysitting, and it was on the second floor of a house. And sometime during the night, whenever it was, I looked at the kitchen because the kitchen door to go outside down the back stairs was off to the side in the kitchen, and I saw the doorknob turning really slow.
No.
I'm not lying. This really happened.
No.
So I told my friend, I told her to look, and I ran into the kids' room on their bed. She called her mom, and her mom came over because it was like a couple streets away from where we lived, and her mom came over, and she went out the back door, down the stairs, and she said, it was just the wind. I said, it was not just the wind, because I saw footsteps in the snow.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did.
I've never heard of wind turning a doorknob either.
No, it didn't.
Well, luckily you were with somebody.
There was somebody trying to break in.
That's creepy.
So I never went
Or
back.
trying to scare you.
I never went back to that house.
Ooh, that's weird.
They had to find a new babysitter.
Well, also, just noted, this was in Massachusetts, and I have a feeling like there were probably a lot of spooky houses up there. Like, who knows what were in those creepy old houses.
Yes. We used to go over to this old lady's house that lived on the next street over from where I grew up. And she lived alone, but it was this big, old house. And it was, I don't know, I just remember it was creepy, but we went over there. We helped her do her grocery shopping and stuff like that.
Oh, that
so
was
we helped
nice.
her, but it was a scary house.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That was nice of you. That you guys weren't like scared of her and just like pointed at her when you walked by.
No, we helped her. We were.
Oh, so considering that you don't really enjoy horror films, do you still have one that is maybe you'd consider a favorite, or something that's in the vein of scary that you do enjoy?
I mean, I do like watching the Jaws, the old Jaws movies.
Okay.
Like it scared the first time I saw it when I was younger. It did scare me, and I was afraid to go in the water.
Did you see it in the theater?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then I went to a lake with the whole family, and you can't see up in Boston, the lakes, you can't see to the bottom. You can't see nothing. It's black. So we swam out to like buoys that you can't cross over, and I sat on top of those buoys the whole time until we all swam back in. But it was scary.
Yeah, well, I remember I was maybe 5 in kindergarten, and I had chicken pox. Yep. And my babysitter down the street, her daughter also had chicken pox, and we, on the pull-out couch in the living room or the den area, rented all the Jaws movies and watched them. And I loved them, and then I was terrified. And I still, like, even as an adult.
I didn't even know you watched all those movies there.
I did. And I liked them too. I still have fond memories of Jaws, but it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, you know what else is for me? Pet Cemetery.
Oh,
Like
that's a scary one.
I never watched the whole movie
Uh-huh.
until this had been 8, 9, 10 years ago. I was home and Eddie was still here,
Mm-hmm.
and I was babysitting Josh. He was a baby,
Uh-huh.
so that's how long ago it was.
Yeah, he's 16 now. So
Yeah, I don't
that
want
was
to talk about
years
that.
ago.
That's scary in itself. My grandson's going to be 17. But I watched the whole Pet Cemetery movie from beginning to end. It was wild.
Mm-hmm. And
Wild.
you'd only seen parts of it, like, but never
Before
the whole
that,
thing.
yeah, I never saw the whole thing.
There's a remake. Have you watched the
I
remake?
haven't watched the remake.
Yeah.
No. I think I'm good with the
Yeah.
first
Well,
one.
with the whole thing with the kid dying
Yeah, I
and
got ran over by the truck.
yeah, that's
and then,
so dark.
And then the viewing, and then he falls out of the
Yes,
casket.
yes,
It
it's
was
dark.
insane.
It is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane, and it's sad to think about your animal coming back and not being like your animal. It's just like
Yeah.
a mean, murderous creature.
Yeah.
That'd make me sad.
I mean, I have a pet cemetery over where I live. You know,
Your pets?
all the pets that we buried. Yeah.
Oh, well,
You know, Oreo.
you might see them again.
No, I hope not.
Oh gosh, that's scary. So, okay, considering that you don't love horror movies, which sub genre would you say is the most scary to you? Like serial killers or home invasion
I
stuff,
think,
or
like The Exorcist really was.
ooh,
Yeah, that was. The demonic possession.
yeah,
I think for me is probably.
yeah. Do you believe that stuff's real? I mean, not the Exorcist story specifically, but
I don't believe that they're possessed. I
Mhm.
believe that there's a lot of evil in the world, absolutely.
yeah, definitely.
But I don't think they're possessed by the devil.
Yeah,
I think there's something wrong with them up there.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I remember, I've never watched The Exorcist. I know enough about it. I feel
Oh,
like
Lord.
I kind of have seen it. I've seen enough clips and stuff, but
Yeah.
just her face alone
Yeah.
is so scary.
Well, and she had a lot of after effects after making that movie.
Well, she was really young, like 12
Oh,
or
yeah.
something, right?
She was young, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So it even affected her doing that movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's scary. I don't know that I'd want my child to play a role like that, but
Right.
I guess money's
They made
money.
a lot of money.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book?
No, never read the
No,
book.
it's a big book.
No.
All right. Well,
I don't really like scary books
Mhm.
that much.
I have a hard time feeling scared from a book, but I've never read anything like that. Really.
Stephen King.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've read a couple of his books and they're very
Yeah.
scary.
Well, they're big, so I'm like, that's scary enough. I don't. I'm scared by just the sheer size of them. Well, let's see. Let's move on to maybe something less scary. Do you, out of all the superpowers that you could have, which one do you think you would pick?
Oh Lord, superpower.
There's so many to choose from. Let's see. You have invisibility. You could fly. You could. I picked being able to like
Teleport.
Teleport. Yes, because I'm
like
just
that.
tired of sitting in traffic.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I don't do well in traffic. I'm like I'd have no patience for it.
And it's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I guess to teleport. I would. Yeah.
That's a good one. I agree. Because I'm a little scared of heights. I don't really want to fly too much. But that's just me.
That's funny because you used to love to fly. You're a frequent flyer.
Yeah, that's
when you were
because
younger.
I got special treatment as a child. And so
Oh,
they
that's true.
took really good care of me and gave me cool pins and let me
that's
visit
true.
the pilot up front. And then
I'd leave you at the airport and then bye. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
I can't imagine doing that. I don't even let my child play in the front yard.
I know things were different back then.
And also
but people looked out for it.
Yeah.
It was just different.
Right. And now there's also a lot of plane crashes. So
right. Yeah, it's
with
scary.
all that
I
stuff
don't have
happening.
any desire to fly anymore.
No, not right now. I don't either. That's very scary in and of itself.
Yeah.
Well, are there any characters in any TV shows or movies that you have watched that you really relate to? That you think that is so me? That is like that's me right there on the screen. Is there anybody like that you can think of?
No, I watch a lot of investigation discovery
Mhm.
shows.
Mhm.
I just, for me, it's just to see what people overcome.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, almost being murdered to,
Yeah, the stuff that people go through, and to think that they just go on and have to try to like live a
right. Like
normal
this
life after that.
one show where her husband burned her beyond recognition, but she survived, and
Mhm.
it's just amazing how she turned out.
Mhm.
Because you can, by looking at her, she's just,
Burned. And sometimes people like that end up having the best outlook
yeah, they do.
ever, and it's really
They do.
wild to me
Yeah.
how
That's what impresses me
that
about it
happens.
is the people that survive and how they
Mhm.
turn turn it into something positive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big popular thing now, like the crime podcasts or crime TV shows. It seems to have such a big following now. It's super popular.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of crime.
Yeah, there's so much crime.
Unfortunately,
There's so
it's
much
every
crime.
day you hear shooting, shooting, shooting,
Mhm.
shooting, and it's like or mass murder, mass murder, mass murder, and it's
Mhm.
like the norm anymore, and that is
Yeah.
scary.
But even beyond the stuff that you hear, it's like I know there's so much stuff happening that we don't hear about too,
Right.
and it's kind of
I
scary.
never worried about you going to school. Now I worry about my grandkids going to school.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Are there any fictional movies or TV shows that you would most like to live in if you had the option?
No.
No. You just want to live in this one?
Yeah.
What
I'm
about
good.
like in the Wizard of Oz? How about Munchkin Land or something like
Oh, I
that?
wouldn't mind that.
That would be kind of nice, right?
Yeah, I would
You'd be
love
the
that.
tallest one there.
I would love that.
Have you ever seen the show The Good Place?
No.
Oh, I love that show. You might like it. I picked there because I don't know, it's just a nice little town that they live in. They have a yogurt shop. Well, they have a lot of yogurt shops, but they've got all these flavors like freshly folded laundry, like all the
Oh,
good
that's
things in
funny.
life that,
Yeah.
are those are their
Oh,
like
that's
yogurt
funny.
flavors. Yeah, but that's a fun show. It's got Ted Danson. You might like it.
The
Um,
Wizard of Oz. I never thought of that.
yeah. Did that scare you when you were a kid? Because I know you got that used to be,
The witch did.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
used
the
to be a
witch did.
big
And
event
the
for you guys,
monkeys, the
right?
flying monkeys.
Monkeys
Yeah.
are terrifying.
But every year it came on, we had a party. We all sat in front of the TV, and
Uh-huh.
my mom made popcorn, and we made a big night out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal.
I love
But
that.
the witch was very scary.
I think we watched The Wizard of Oz here, and my kids liked it for a while.
Yeah.
But now they have no attention spans anymore. So
Take them away from their video games.
right,
Can't do that.
right, exactly. Are there any other like movies that specifically stick out to you that are scary to you that for any reason that have made an impression on you that you can think of?
Well, the Freddy Krueger movies were pretty scary.
Oh, let's delve into that.
Oh yeah, let's.
So when I was young,
5 years old.
my uncle Kevin,
Yes.
specifically my uncle Kevin,
Drove us back to Boston,
mm-hmm,
and we had to stay with him in his house for a couple days.
mm-hmm,
And he said, "Leah, don't look down in the cellar,"
mm-hmm.
because I said, "Don't say the F word," and he did. Freddy Krueger's down there.
The F word to me when I was a kid was Freddy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I remember he did his
clarify
laundry
that.
down there, right? His
Huh?
laundry was down there, right?
Yes.
And
But
he would
said
say
Freddy Krueger was down there,
Mhm.
and you have no idea.
And 5-year-old me should have been like, "Well, why are you going down there then?" But I remember him saying, "Leah, do you want to come do the laundry with me?"
And do you remember saying, I mean, it was months after that. We were living with your godmother, Paula, after we had left Kevin's.
Mm-hmm.
We lived with her for a little while before we could move into our apartment.
Mm-hmm.
You would not go to sleep unless I was right by the bed. And it was insane.
Well, do you blame me?
It was awful.
He made me think Freddy was real at
I
that point.
hated him for so long after that.
Yeah. And I remember not only him, but other uncles scaring me, like just popping in on me
Oh,
with
yeah,
like,
Uncle Ricky?
yeah, with like Halloween masks
Yeah.
and stuff. So, I mean,
yeah, that wasn't cool. And then, of course, one of my coworkers had a big Halloween party.
Okay, I remember this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you were so excited, and we got you
Mhm.
a princess dress costume, and we started out at his house, him and his wife, and they had it all decked out
Mm-hmm.
with the scary music and the dead person laying
severed
in.
limbs. I think the
Yes,
severed limbs
yeah.
specifically was what did it for me.
And so as soon as Leah saw that walking up to the driveway, as soon as you saw that, you hauled butt back to my car, got inside, and locked the doors.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm like, well, what am I going to do now?
I remember that. How old was I?
You were 5.
I was 5. Okay.
When we first moved back to Boston.
Okay.
So then my friend's wife finally coaxed you out of the vehicle. She had a piano in her house. So we brought you in the house, the front door.
Yeah. I remember you carrying me in,
yeah,
and I didn't look at anything. Right. And then I remember being like do 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 right. on the piano afterwards.
So, needless to say, Leah never went trick or treating again after that.
No. Well, no, there was.
You handed out candy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but I did eventually like Halloween again after that.
Oh, really?
But I've never liked haunted houses or anything like that. I want to see it from afar.
Yeah, one time me and my friend went, Gail, we went to this haunted hayride type of deal. And the Grim Reaper was there and it was so scary. He was humongous with that big,
scythe.
Yeah. So then we get on me and Gail and a bunch of other people were on the hayride, and all these scary characters are popping out from the woods. And here comes Freddy Krueger.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah. So what do? Gail was literally sitting like this, and I just pushed towards her because I just felt like I was going to fall off.
Yeah.
And she fell off. So she had to run back to
oh my God.
To the wagon.
That's so messed up.
But I was trying to get away from him because he was coming so close to the wagon. I thought he was going to get me.
Were they allowed to touch people?
No.
Oh.
No.
You'd have been fine.
But it was very scary.
Well, was she mad at you?
No.
Oh.
She wasn't mad at me.
She was probably laughing.
She was cool.
She's cool. I like her. I miss her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
That's funny. Oh, man. I've never done a haunted hayride, but
it was very scary.
Yeah. I'm too scared to do. There was a Cypress Gardens before it was Legoland. They had a family friendly Halloween event. I mean, they were literally people in Walmart costumes. They weren't scary looking. I was so tense the whole night. We went with a group of people from work, and I was I remember just feeling my muscles at the end of the night were so tense just because I love the vibe of Halloween. I love October. I love ghost stories and that type of thing. But I don't want to be in any haunted houses. I don't want there to be any clowns with chainsaws anywhere in my vicinity.
No.
I don't want any of that.
We had a haunted house where the town I grew up in, Mansfield. Unbelievable. So me and a bunch of friends went. I remember David Conti. He's no longer here, but he grew up down the street from us. So it was pretty much him and a bunch of girls, screaming girls. You know what I mean? And I had to almost broke his arm. I swear, I was so scared. So I got through it that night. I don't know how it was that night. We were all just petrified. The next day, I go with a girl from school.
You went back?
Yeah, it was during the day.
Okay.
So I thought, all right, during the day. So we go in to pay. I gave him the money for my ticket. We both did. And the first one with the flashlight up to the face, I hauled. I left.
Did you get your money back?
No. No. It was probably $1 back then.
Yeah.
It was so scary.
I'm so easily scared.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
Now, roller coasters and all those kind of rides, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not into it.
I don't like being scared. No. I mean, it's funny to watch other people be scared. Have you ever seen the pictures of people in haunted houses getting scared? Those are hilarious. I'll watch that all day. It's just not entertaining for me. It makes me feel tense. It's not like an adrenaline rush in a good way.
Right.
It's like a
Halloween
fear for my life
and
type
all that
of
stuff. Nope.
I mean, now that I'm older, I still don't think I could do haunted house because I don't want to be that close to any of it.
Right.
But I feel a little more jaded to the point where I could not care as much. If you're trying to scare me, it's more just you're bothering me.
Because of the stuff that you go through in life.
Yeah, exactly. You get sort of jaded, and it's just kind of I'm too lazy to care that you're trying to scare me now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do remember that. There was another Halloween situation I wanted to discuss too. Remember when we lived in that apartment at Webb Place
Mhm.
and you let me trick or treat by myself?
Yes. And then all of a sudden, I get a knock on the door, and
Uh-huh.
it's a lady that lives in another apartment, around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and she has you, and you're bawling. I'm like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
The music.
Yeah.
As soon as you heard that scary music,
Mm-hmm.
back
Which
home.
I don't know why I didn't just turn around and leave and go back home. I just like stood there and cried, I guess.
Yeah, and she had to
But
bring you home. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
man,
I remember that.
yeah, I do too. Unfortunately,
Yeah, some things just stay with
they
you, like
sure do.
Halloween and Jaws, and
Yeah. So anytime anybody asks why I'm so scared of anything, I blame my childhood.
you
But
had a good childhood.
I had an okay childhood.
Yeah.
It could have been worse. I'll put it that way. But all right. Well, I guess let's see. Are there any urban legends that creep you out? Or are there any urban legends from where you're from, up north specifically, or like
I
any
think it was
local?
the Foxborough Mental Hospital
Oh.
that was, supposedly haunted, and it's closed down now.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew a girl, Patty Hebad. She used to work there, and
Oh.
that's just an urban legend, though. I don't know that it was or
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
What
it
ab-
just always, I never wanted to
was it like
be
open
near
and
it,
it was
or
open and functioning when
yeah,
you?
it was a mental
Oh.
hospital,
Oh
yes, in
wow.
Foxborough, the next town over from where
Mm-hmm.
we grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about like were there any haunted places or places people
Yes,
said
there
were
was a haunted
haunted?
house, yes, in Foxborough
Ooh.
that me and my friends went to one Halloween night.
For
And
somebody who does not like scary things, you went to a lot of
yeah, but
haunted
listen,
houses.
listen,
Peer pressure?
I didn't go in.
Okay.
All my friends went in,
Uh-huh.
and then I sat out in the car. I was freaking out. I wasn't going in. And then Mala comes running out. My friend Mala comes running out, and she gets in the car and she says, "Sarah fell through the steps. Sarah fell through the steps." Sarah Gowan.
Uh-huh.
They heard music from another part of the house, so they were all trying to find where it was coming from, and they were going down some steps, and
They went towards the music?
yeah, one of the girls fell through the stairs.
Absolutely not.
Her leg fell through the stairs.
Absolutely not.
So yeah, but it was, that house was supposedly haunted.
Ooh.
I don't know. I never went in. I stayed outside.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, no, I ain't going.
Did you lock yourself in the car like I did?
Sure did. I sure did.
Have you ever seen any ghosts or anything that you thought was maybe a ghost or had any sort of paranormal experience personally?
Oh Lord.
Because I've had creepy things happen, but I've never seen anything that I've been like, that was a ghost or anything definitive like that.
This just brings up a bad subject. When Eddie passed away.
Sure, yeah.
And I was having a really hard time.
Eddie's my stepdad.
And I wasn't sleeping, so my doctor put me on some kind of medication, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was by myself at my house, and I went to lay down, and I just felt this presence over me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a good presence, it was a bad presence. I jumped out of bed, I ran to my phone, I called Darren,
My uncle.
my older brother, and I had him come get me, and I ended up staying with Graham for a while.
You did?
It just really, I can't even describe. It
was
was
like a heaviness or
yeah,
something?
like heaviness, like bad.
Ooh. Do you think it was the medication?
I think that was, I think
Yeah.
that had something.
Because
to do
I've
with
heard
it. I
of
stopped taking it after that.
Yeah, I've heard of things people take in sleep medicine that makes them see things, or
it wasn't like I was hallucinating. It was just this feeling came over me that was not a good feeling. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Oof, that's scary. I don't like that at all. But no, you've never seen anything that you thought was a person or like anything like that?
No.
Never. I'm trying to think. I remember I had one situation. I was alone in Graham's. I used to live with my grandmother when I was younger, and I was alone one night. And you know those old metal folding chairs that they're just old and they're heavy, and you know the sound of them, like when they cling together.
Yeah.
And she used to have several in her back room where her laundry area was.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing them fall down. Like I wasn't like, what was that? Or anything, or what was that noise? I heard them fall down, and I walked back because I was like, okay, I'm going to put these back up.
And they weren't.
And they weren't. on the ground at all.
Oh wow.
And it gives me goosebumps, look, because
Wow.
I just was for sure that's what it was. It was not a question of what was that noise. I knew exactly what that sound was, and then I went back to fix them, and they hadn't fallen down. It really weirded me out. So
I never heard that story before.
I mean, I love ghost stories. I don't really want any to happen to me,
No.
but
like, do you
I
watch
don't know.
Ghost Adventures, anything like that?
Yeah, I love the ghost investigative shows and all that stuff. I like ghost tours when I go places. Those are
like
fun.
when I went to Scotland back when I was 18.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, talk about
18
that.
and I went 18 when I was 18. I went when I was 20. So the big castle, Edinburgh Castle, is huge.
I think that was so cool.
Oh, it was amazing. I wish I had the pictures from there, but my car got stolen and torched. Yeah, that's another story.
Oh, that's another story.
Leah's Bobby car and all that, got torched. And all my pictures from Scotland got torched.
No.
And all that got ruined.
Did you go to Loch Ness when you were there?
We drove.
Because how could you go all the way to Scotland and not go to Loch Ness? Or is it hard to get to? Is it far away?
From where Edinburgh is, which is the capital, it's a 2 or 3 hour drive. We drove near there, but we didn't go to Loch Ness. You know what I mean? We didn't go to the water or anything like that. I would have loved to.
Oh, I would have had to go
I almost
there.
moved to Scotland.
Really? I could have been a Scottish baby.
Oh no, you wouldn't have been here.
Well, that might.
I loved it so much. I loved the people. I loved everything about it, and I almost moved there.
Well, Kelly, who is also on the podcast with me, she has a big draw to Ireland. She's got a very small fraction of Irish in her DNA, and I don't know if that's what it is.
I would love to go to Ireland too.
I would too.
To trace my ancestry.
Yeah, we have a lot of Irish on our side. Yeah.
I mean, O'Brien, it's pretty Irish.
That's pretty darn Irish. Well, I mean, I guess I know you watch a lot of ID stuff. So, are there any serial killers that you can think of that you've heard about that stick out in your mind specifically? There's so many to choose from.
Yeah, I know, so many.
I mean, what were there any around when you were younger that you remember hearing the stories of that like freaked you out?
No, you know what really freaked me out, Leah, is when I was in middle school, and now this is a small town I grew up in. You know what I mean? Everybody knew everybody. So this girl that was in high school was waiting on her friend. She was sitting up at Memorial Park on the wall, waiting on her friend, and then she disappeared, and they found her between the high school and the park. There was a creek that ran that way, and they found her, and it was devastating.
It was somebody you knew, or somebody?
No, she was Uncle Kevin's grade, so 4 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
We had to go to her funeral because I was in the band, but no, I didn't know her. Laurie Zecker, I'll never forget her name though. So they ended up finding the guy that did it. But after that, I went to the drive-in with Rosemary, Matthew's mother, Rosemary, and she was with this guy, Frankie. So, and me and them too. They brought me to the drive-in. I don't even remember what we saw. I was still scared about what happened with this girl.
Yeah, that's one of those things that like rocks a whole town.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was petrified. I didn't want like they were going to go to the snack bar, and I said, "Well, I'm going too. I'm not staying in this car by myself." You don't want to be alone. Yeah, I was terrified. Yeah, the whole town was. Yeah, but it was a guy that he walked around, walked everywhere, Everybody knew him. He would walk everywhere. Yeah. So anyway, he was one that did it, but it really affected a lot of people.
Yeah, that's really sad.
So I think that really affected me.
Yeah, for sure. Or were there any like nationally known ones that were happening?
Well, you had John Wayne Gacy.
Oh,
who killed all those young boys. Yeah. And hid them under his porch. His house. Yeah.
Yeah. One that I think, well, I know I wasn't around for it, but I love the Son of Sam story. Yeah. I love the movie. I know that's terrible to say I love it because it's awful, the stuff that he did, but just the story intrigues me. Yeah. I don't know why, because that guy was...
And of course, Jack the Ripper, the Boston Strangler, all those, Yep. So...
I'm sure Boston's got a lot of ghost stories and a lot of dark history if you really delved into it.
For sure.
So... All right. Well, unless there's anything else you can think of that you want to discuss, I think we've
No,
gone through.
that brought back a lot of memories,
Yeah.
I have to say, and I learned a lot. A few
Yeah.
things that I never knew that you went through too.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, same.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't know either.
So on that note, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really weird way to celebrate, but
Yeah.
maybe a little murders will bring us together. I don't know. But thank you for joining me, and I hope
Oh,
that you
you're
had
welcome,
fun
hon.
and I had a good time discussing all this stuff with you, and maybe we'll get to have you on again
I can't wait.
sometime. Awesome.
All right. I
Thank
love
you.
you.
I love you too.
Hi, and I am here with my mom. Her name is Rosellen. Say hi.
Hi.
And we have some fun questions to discuss today in regards to horror films. But first, we had talked earlier in our one of our earlier episodes about you going to see the movie Terrifier with Ruby, and everyone was quite was quite shocked that you had gone to see that movie. So we were curious to hear your reactions about or Terrifier 2, I think it was, right?
No, I did not enjoy it. I hid my face for a lot of it because it was a lot of gore, but I'll do anything for my granddaughters.
That's very sweet, especially considering some of the scenes that I've heard about. I guess you weren't watching them, so that's probably a good thing because if you knew what was actually happening on the screen, you probably would have questioned why Ruby chose to take you to that film because she had seen it already. She knew better. All right, so do you have any kind of history with horror films? Is there a first horror film you remember seeing?
It's interesting that you asked me about horror films because I was born in 1952, and probably between 1957 and 1964 or 65, it was a huge market horror movies. And in those days, you went to the movie theater. And I believe the first one I saw, I might have been 8 years old. It's called Frankenstein or the Horror of Frankenstein. In that realm of movies, there was Frankenstein, the werewolf, Count Dracula, and the Mummy.
All in the same movie?
No, all in the same era, probably a 10-year era between late 50s and mid 60s. And everybody loved them. I mean, adults, kids. I remember hiding my face, but in some of the scenes, but and the movie stars that starred in these movies were amazing. It was Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, and Christopher Lee. He was a later actor who depicted a very scary Count Dracula, and it was a lot of fun for me because I had no little girls in my life when I was a child. I had to hang around with my brother and my cousins, and they were all boys. So I was kind of a tomboy, but I loved going to the movies with them. And my one cousin who was older than me got so scared he had to be taken out of the theater. So that was a good memory to have.
Excellent. That's I'm glad you had got to relive kind of that positive memory from your childhood. Do you have a favorite horror film? Is it one of those from your childhood or do you have one a different one that stood out to you?
Well, like I said, around the mid 60s, some of the horror films that came out, they came out and they were kind of stupid. Even teenagers weren't really that into the Godzilla movies, the Blob, some of those movies, the Abominable Snowman. So they were kind of unbelievable. The UFO movies. I was never a UFO lover. To me, unless I saw the proof of something like that, probably not. But I think probably my favorite early horror movie was Dracula meets Frankenstein, and it was really good. And when I was a child also, and maybe some of your listeners can remember this, that on Friday nights at midnight there was a TV show on called Shock Theater, and we'd turn the lights out and make popcorn and have candy and watch scary movies that were on a show called Shock Theater.
That's fun. I've never heard of Shock Theater. I'll have to look that up. That's something that I can Google. And I didn't know that would have been your favorite. I would have if I had to guess your favorite horror movie, I would have guessed either the one about the sorority house with the guy up in the Oh, okay, so that's later on. All right, then I won't get into that then. Okay, so the next question, and I know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer it anyway. Do you believe in supernatural elements that are often horror films?
Yeah, I do in a primitive way. I don't believe a lot of it, but I absolutely believe it exists based on personal experiences. My late mother, God rest her soul, kind of plays tricks on me throughout the past 40 years that she's been gone. And I have a husband to verify with me some of the things that actually have happened. But some of the some of the movies some of the movies where there was a oh my goodness, I have to look. Psycho was a classic scary slasher movie, which it wasn't monsters, but Anthony Perkins played a monster in his personality, and the fact that he was a murderer because his mother kind of held him hostage, and it was an amazing movie. A couple of other ones, and like Kristen talked about, that I've talked to her about. Probably the scariest non horror film, but scary film. The one she talked about, the sorority house during Christmas. I never could remember the name. Black Christmas, very scary. And another one that was very, very scary, and forgive me, I don't remember the name of it, but the concept is a young teenage girl is babysitting these kids in this kind of wealthy house. She keeps getting calls from a man, and this man keeps saying to her, "Have you checked the children?" I mean, really scary. She calls the police, and thankfully, she doesn't go up the steps. Calls the police, and they put a tap on the phone, and he keeps calling her, and he's screaming at her in the end because he really wants her to go upstairs. And as she's going to go up, because now she's figuring something happened to these children, the policeman's at the door. She opens the door, and he grabs her and pulls her out of the house, saying, "He's upstairs. Do not go upstairs." And he had, in fact, killed the children, and he was going to kill her also.
I like that you brought that up because Kelly actually brought that whole story. She had not seen When a Stranger Calls, which is that's the name of the movie actually. She hadn't seen it, but she knew of there's an urban legend about that whole story, which is what they made the movie. I mean, it might be based on a true story. I don't know, but we actually have talked about that in an earlier episode, so I like that connection. Is that so? Is what is your favorite subgenre then of horror movies? Would you say it's more paranormal stuff or slasher films or home invasions or demons?
Well, it's none of those, but it is one that would fit that genre, and that is stalkers. Between 1971 and 1977, my 19th year to my 26th year, I was stalked by a sexual predator who almost got me the very first time I encountered him. He knew me, he knew where I was, what I did, tried to break in my home with my mom, and it really affected me to this day. Um, Probably one of the worst experiences of my life. And Chris and I admit and I apologize to you that it really affected my worry for you in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and when you've lived alone. And I have a thing about watching them, and I've spoken to a psychologist over the years, and I've said to her, why do I like the serial killer and the stalker movies? And she said, believe it or not, most women do. There's nothing abnormal about that. Most women like those kind of movies. And my very first serial killer movie I saw in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the movie theater called The Boston Strangler. And he's really the first depicted serial killer identified in the United States. His name was Albert DeSalvo, and he was a maintenance man. So he was able to get in the door of all these different women saying, I'm here to fix this, and you have a leak you don't know about. He'd get in their house, and he murdered about 12 women before they caught him. But believe it or not, I have an absolute interest in Jack the Ripper. The next time I go back to London, I'm going to go on the walk where Jack the Ripper on the East End actually murdered 5 or 6 women.
That sounds fascinating, actually. I had brought up Jack the Ripper in an earlier episode as well because Kelly talked about H. Holmes, and I know there was a theory that they were connected, but I think it was proven that they're not the same person. So, but there was definitely some theories there for a while. So the last couple of questions aren't really don't have to be related to horror because sometimes we talk about things that are not horror related. Kelly and Allison are both big Bravo fans. They watch all the Real Housewives shows and the Vanderpumps. We talk about other types, Severance, that we talked about that a lot. So, what is the most relatable character to you that's been in any movie or TV show? And this could be any character at all from any genre. It doesn't have to be horror.
Um, Most relatable. Hmm, that's really a good question. A movie called Copycat that I watched in my daughter's apartment when she was out partying with her friends in Ann Arbor. By the time she came home, I was terrified. It was one of those movies in time, present time, where it ended up to be somebody that became a serial killer, and it was a copycat to a guy that was behind bars. But she was alone in this apartment and she had fear of leaving her apartment. She was a very successful woman, but just wouldn't walk out the door. I kind of found myself relatable to her because my stalker was never caught. And when I moved out of state and left my mother by herself, I always was worried that he'd come and retaliate against my mom. But he either moved on, got arrested, or died, one of the three. So, I'm relatable, literally, Kristen, to all these women in these movies where there's a stalker, especially some of these movie stars. Jennifer Aniston had a guy completely take a vehicle yesterday and plow right through her gates. So, trying to get to her. And if you look up the stalker laws in the United States, they're flimsy at best. Each state has their own. In some states, they don't do a thing about it. So, that's probably in my paranormal experiences, which I have them a lot, and I wonder why me, to be honest. But when you talk about the Ted Bundys of the world, or John Wayne Gacy, the guy that dressed up like a clown near the O'Hare Airport, is where he lived. You really really have to think long and hard. It's affected American people, especially women.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think when I think about the rise of serial killers and sexual violence against women, for me, it seems to have peaked or started, especially when women were fighting for their rights, like during the women's lib movement in the 70s. So I think they're correlated for sure. All right. So again, doesn't have to be horror related, but is there any fictional television world that you would like to live in? Meaning, probably not a horror world because we don't want to live in those. But is there any idyllic place or any show or television or movie that you've seen that you wish you could live in that world?
I hate to admit this, but I hadn't watched soap operas since I was pregnant with you many, many moons ago. But a friend of mine came and hung out with us for about a month in Ohio, and she got me hooked on the Young and the Restless and the Bold and the Beautiful. I'm not sure I'd want to live in that genre, but I love the big city. I love Chicago. I love San Francisco. And I'm thrilled to death that my granddaughter's going to be going to NYU because it's going to give me a reason to get to New York often. To live there well, you got to be a multimillionaire. So going there as a tourist is fine for me. But I think I could be a big city girl, no doubt.
So any of those places where you could live in the big city and kind of live that life. I think that would be fun too. When I go to New York, I imagine what it would have been like to live in a place like that. So I get that. Kelly actually and Allison both are originally from Chicago, so I know it's one of your favorite places to visit, and Kelly goes there often. So in fact, I think she was recently just at a podcast convention that they had there in Chicago. She met some connections and met some new people, and we're hoping in the future maybe to attend one of those together. So that would be really fun. All right, the last question then, again, not horror related, but and these questions that I'm asking you were questions that we have discussed in a lot of the different podcast episodes. So they're things that we discussed as well. But if you could have any superpower, which superpower would you choose and why?
Yeah, this one I wrote down. I think that the two that I would like would be there's two. Number one, I would like to be able to read people's minds, as we all would. I think that's just natural. And number two, I honestly wish I could predict the future within my own world of my family and friends. I would love to be able to do that, because when you live in fear like I have all these years, and trust me, I've talked to psychologists, I've done everything I could do to dissipate the fear, but I can't. Especially since I was in a road rage accident in 2014 where two young girls literally got out of their car and tried to choke me to death and punch me to death in the back of my head. So when you have those kinds of experiences multiple times in your life, you really sometimes hope that you could predict the future and avoid certain circumstances.
I get that idea for sure. All right, well, I think that's it. Perfect timing. So, do you have anything else that you would like to talk about or say before we wrap things up?
I would encourage all of you. Oh, I forgot about Bigfoot and the wolf and the dog man.
One of the things that we did talk about, another one of the questions that we did discuss was, what's your favorite cryptid? So I know you're a cryptid person, so I should have added that question onto here. So please discuss your favorite cryptid and what are your what theories do you find to be the most compelling?
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to talk about this subject. I don't know how I got hooked on Bigfoot, but I did. And I watch specific shows where it's actually PhDs and people that do zoology. You know, they're not somebody looking for attention. These people are professionals, and they look all over the United States for Bigfoot. Quite frankly, there have been probably about 10,000 sightings in the past 40 years, you know, dependable people that these have come from. Bigfoot doesn't scare me. I'd certainly love to see him from a distance. He's all over the U.S., you know, big areas like New York, Ohio, Michigan, Alaska, California. And of course, they live in the woods. But some of my questions are, why haven't we found a dead Bigfoot carcass? Why haven't we found dead Bigfoot bones anywhere? And the theory is that the government is hiding all of that. I'm not a government conspiracist like some people are, so I don't really buy that. The one that scares me is Dog Man. I listen and watch about that, and most of the sightings of Dog Man have been in the state of Michigan, in their wooded areas, and there's pictures of them, and they're absolutely ferocious. So that's the other one that I, I fear him.
Is the dog man like part dog, part man? What's the difference between a dog man and a werewolf?
Well, a werewolf is a character that they made up where a man gets bitten by a dog, a wolf, or something like that, and then they become a werewolf, where the hair grows on them and their paws grow into claws and all of that. The dog man is something they've considered where a man and a dog might have hooked up 150 years ago. The Indian tribes in America talk about dog man and Bigfoot. They have art, where they've drawn pictures over the past 100 years of these type of monsters, and the one that scares me the most is the Skywalker. The Skywalker is a being that can go from being a dog to a human, or from a human to a dog, or from a wolf to a human. And there's pictures. If go on YouTube. YouTube,
Skywalker or Skywalker? You said Skywalker.
not Skywalker.
Skinwalker.
Skidwalker. I'm so sorry.
Skin, right?
My daughter laughs at me when I say the
You're
wrong
like
word.
Luke Skywalker is what you're
Yeah, no, not Luke Skywalker. To say again what it was.
Skinwalker.
Skinwalker, right, where they can when they can transform. The other thing, going back to Bigfoot for a minute, is they the biggest theory is that they came from another planet or they're paranormal, because they'll show videos of them, and within the same 5 or 6 or 7 seconds they vanished. And that happens all over the world, and they're in Russia. I mean, there's been cases in the mountains in Russia where 13 students went to study, everything about being in the mountainous areas in the Arctic, and all 13 of them were murdered and dismembered. And the one guy's camera, there's a picture of a Bigfoot standing about 20 feet away from him. So the theory has been, and they've never found anything but, that how all of these 13 were ripped to shreds by something bare hands. And it wasn't a bear. So
Wow, that sounds very interesting. Is that related at all to that? Have you read anything about that Skinwalker Ranch? No, might be something that'll interest you as well. All right. Well, I think we went a little over, but that's okay. I know that Kelly's going to edit this all up for us anyway. So I enjoyed. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Happy Mother's Day. I love you. Bye.
For more information about us and all of the wines that we feature, visit our website at fearandwine.com. And make sure you follow Fear and Wine wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss a new episode. And if you like us, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. For more information about our episodes, follow us on Instagram at Fear and Wine Pod. And if you have a fun discussion question that you'd like for us to answer on the podcast, send it to us at fearandwinepod@gmail.com.